This is a follow-up video to my first impression review of the Leica CL, and I'll be including some sample photos shot outside on the 18mm f2.8 lens that came with the camera bundle. It's a small pancake lens, so it works well with the small camera body, and it gives it a compact shape, but it still has a hefty solid weight. I did add a thumbs up accessory to the back to make it easier to hold. The focal length on this is equivalent to 28mm on a full frame camera, so it's a wide angle, good for landscape scenes. I'll show a couple scenic views and versus a close-up shot. The 2.8 aperture works great for bright light situations, but not so great in low light, so I'll compare a sunny day versus a cloudy day. It's not considered a fast lens. A fast lens would be something with a 1.4 or smaller f number, which corresponds to a larger aperture. They're called fast because they bring in more light and allow the camera to operate at higher shutter speed. The smaller aperture camera would use slower shutter speeds to compensate and bring in more light. A larger aperture also allows you to keep the ISO number down, so you get less grainy pictures. I'll jump to the pictures and make some comments on the settings and how they came out, but this is all coming from an extreme beginner's perspective, since I'm just starting to learn. On the first picture, this was a sunny day close to 11 a.m. on aperture priority mode. I chose f8, and the camera set the ISO to 100 and the shutter speed at 250th. I think it was a good result with bright, accurate green and sharp trees and houses on the left, and sharp clouds and a nice blue in the sky. And this was unedited. The next one is a cloudy day in the afternoon, and it's also unedited. I picked the lowest f-stop number at 2.8, and the camera kept the ISO at 100, but slowed the shutter speed to 1/100th to let more light in. But even with this, it still looked darker and duller and more washed out than the first picture. I could have increased the exposure compensation, but I couldn't do that because I got some flickers in the sky. I put the same picture in Adobe Lightroom and cropped it slightly and applied Vivid Preset. It improved the coloring, but I still think it looks somewhat unnatural. I still need to figure out how to use the editing software. The last photo is a close-up shot on the same day as the first photo, but now with some shading and shadows. Compared to the first photo, I increased the aperture to f2.8, but because of the shading, the camera didn't increase the shutter speed and kept it at 1/250th. I like how this picture came out. The birdhouse is very sharp and the colors are realistic, and the background is slightly blurred out, and I didn't have to do any editing on that one. Jumping back to the camera, I think I started to learn more about the strength and weaknesses of this lens. It works great in optimal lighting, but I think a larger aperture would perform better in low light. It can do some amount of background blurring, but not extreme. I did try out some portrait shots outside from the waist up, but it didn't turn out great. I don't like distortions, and I thought the body and face looked like it was bulging forward because of the wide angle. So that brings me to the next lens I'll be trying out. I wanted something better for portraits and low light, so I looked at getting either a 50mm or 75mm equivalent, and I decided on the 50mm equivalent. This just came in today. It's the Summilux TL 35mm f1.4. I didn't want anything that compressed shots too much, so I didn't go with the 75. I just took it out of the box a few minutes ago. It's a huge lens compared to my camera body, and very heavy and much more expensive. I haven't tried it out at all, so I'll probably make another video like this one testing out this lens. It did come with the lens hood, which makes it even longer, but you can flip it backwards for storage. So compare the thickness of both lenses. The 35mm lens is about 3 inches deep versus 1 inch on the 18mm lens. So that's it for now. If you have any questions or requests for future videos, please let me know in the comments. Thanks for watching.